Welcome back, everybody. Today we're going deep, really deep into an intriguing document, a 1996 issue of the Dealey Plaza Echo.
Oh, wow. The Dealey Plaza Echo.
Yeah, it's a journal, and it's totally devoted to investigating the JFK assassination.
Hmm.
Even after all this time, the JFK assassination it keeps drawing people in,
Yeah.
like a puzzle, right?
Yeah.
The missing pieces.
Mhm.
And the Dealey Plaza Echo, it's like a group of these, well, mostly UK-based researchers trying to piece it all together.
It is really fascinating how a single event can capture the imagination for, decades, really.
Right.
And to have people from, outside of the U.S. so captivated by it.
Oh, yeah. It's not just about JFK. It's about these people, these passionate researchers,
Right.
just digging into this mystery,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
and how even the smallest details can spark huge debates that just go on and on.
That's right.
So we're going to encounter some really wild stuff in this issue.
Oh, okay.
They've got a shoe store manager with this almost photographic memory, conflicting stories about a bullet, a missing bullet. And then there's this reporter whose story, get this, gets changed by the FBI.
Oh, wow.
And even a little cheek into the world of Jack Ruby before,
Before, okay.
So this issue is kind of a big deal because there's a new editor taking over, Jonathan Notnan.
Okay.
And the outgoing editor, Chris Mills, he's really stressing that the mission of the journal, to just keep digging into the JFK assassination, it's more important than ever.
It is really important, especially with an event like this, to have independent publications that are really looking into these things. That,
Yeah.
there's still so much mystery surrounding.
Totally. Okay, so let's jump right into the articles.
Okay.
This one, it's about a guy named Johnny Brewer. He managed a shoe store, and he sold Lee Harvey Oswald a pair of shoes.
Really?
Just weeks, maybe months, before the assassination. Can you believe it? Like, what are the chances?
Wow.
And here's the crazy part.
Okay.
His memory of that day, it's crystal clear. He remembers the type of shoe, Oswald's size, even the price,
And what was the price?
$5.70.
Wow, that is very specific.
I know, it might seem like a small thing, but in a case like this, these details, they matter.
Oh, absolutely. Eyewitness accounts are always, under scrutiny.
Right.
Especially in assassination research. But when you have details like that, later confirmed by the police, by the way, in Oswald's possessions, it gives Brewer's story a lot of weight.
Yeah.
But it does make you wonder, why would he remember, this random customer so clearly?
That's what I was thinking.
Is there something more to that interaction we don't know?
Right. And it gets even crazier. On the day of the assassination, Brewer sees Oswald again.
No way.
Near his store, just a few minutes after Officer Tippit had been shot.
Oh, wow.
But picture this. Total chaos, people freaking out, police cars everywhere.
Right. It must have been a very intense scene.
Right. But Oswald, he's just standing there. Brewer said he wasn't even reacting to anything.
That is interesting. You would think in a moment like that, you would be, highly alert.
Exactly. It's just so strange.
It's very strange. It makes you wonder, was he just incredibly calm or maybe just completely detached from reality?
Right. And that's actually what made Brewer suspicious.
Yeah.
So suspicious that he followed Oswald.
Wow.
And he watched him go into the Texas theater.
So in a way, Brewer's the reason Oswald got caught.
Yeah, kind of.
That's incredible. He's like an accidental detective.
I know, right? Just a regular guy caught up in this huge historical event.
Yeah. It really shows you how important it is to pay attention to details. You never know what might be important.
Yeah, and sometimes those little details, they're the key to the whole mystery. Speaking of mysteries, this issue also digs into one of the biggest controversies of the assassination, the whole missing bullet thing.
Oh, right. The missing bullet, yeah.
This guy, Hal Verb, he writes for the Journal. He doesn't buy the Warren Commission's single bullet theory.
Right.
That one bullet went through JFK and then hit Governor Connolly.
Yeah, that theory has been debated for so long. A lot of people don't think the physics of it all makes sense.
Right. And Verb, he really focuses on the evidence around a shot that supposedly missed the limo completely.
Okay. To understand his argument, we have to remember James Tigg.
Tig.
Yeah, he was a bystander who got hit by something during the shooting. Now, the Warren Commission said, yeah, he was hit, but they didn't think it was a big deal. But Verb thinks it's very important.
Oh, okay.
He thinks the bullet that hit Tigg couldn't have been from the first shot because there's evidence that another shot came even earlier.
Another shot.
Yeah. He says there are 17 witnesses who say they saw or heard a shot before the one that hit Tigg.
17 people. That's a lot of people. So what does that mean for the whole timeline of the assassination if they're right?
I mean, if they're telling the truth, it would blow the Warren Commission's timeline out of the water, and it would mean that more than 3 shots were fired.
Right.
And that would mean that Oswald maybe didn't act alone.
It's just mind-blowing to think there could be so much disagreement about what happened that day.
It makes you wonder how much we really know about what happened in Dealey Plaza.
I know. It's like, can we ever really know the full story?
Right. And that's what the Dealey Plaza Echo is all about. Questioning the assumptions, looking at other explanations, and just keeping the conversation going.
Yeah. And this issue, it's not all just technical stuff about the assassination. It also has these personal stories from people who were actually there.
Oh, wow.
People whose lives were changed forever by that day. Like Connie Kritzberg, she was a reporter for the Dallas Times Herald.
Okay.
She was right there in the middle of it all, watching everything unfold in the newsroom.
Yeah.
But what really got me was this little detail she mentions about Jack Ruby. Apparently, he was a regular in the newsroom before the assassination. He even gave out tickets to the entertainment writers.
That's kind of creepy when you think about it. It's like, he was just a normal guy before that day.
It is, yeah.
It's like, how can someone just go from that to, right.
It makes you think about how our lives can intersect with history in these crazy ways.
Yeah, it's like 6 degrees of separation, but way closer.
Right. And her story doesn't end there. She got to interview Mary Moorman and Jean Hill, the 2 women who were closest to the limo when it happened.
Oh, wow.
And they remember everything so clearly. They even say they heard 4 to 6 shots.
That doesn't match up with the Warren Commission's findings at all. They said there were only 3 shots.
It's a huge difference. But the Dealey Plaza Echo, it doesn't try to say who's right or wrong. It just presents all the different sides of the story.
Oh.
Like it's saying, here's all the information, you decide what you think. Eyewitness accounts can be really powerful, but people remember things differently.
Right.
And by showing us all these different perspectives, it helps us understand the event better.
Yeah, like we're trying to put a puzzle together, but some of the pieces don't quite fit.
Yeah.
But they're still important. Exactly. And the Dealey Plaza Echo is all about thinking critically and being open to different ideas.
Yeah. So we've got an accidental detective, witnesses who disagree, and a journal that questions everything.
It's a lot to unpack.
This is already more interesting than I thought it would be. I can't wait to see what else is in this issue.
Yeah, me too.
Reading Kritzberg's account, it's like she wasn't just reporting on the assassination, She was caught up in the whole aftermath. She talks about being questioned by the FBI about being at Jack Ruby's Carousel Club.
The night before.
The night before the assassination.
Oh, wow. It's almost, spooky, isn't it? This connection.
Yeah, and then there's another thing. Kritzberg claims she saw Oswald, recognize Ruby just before he got shot.
That is a detail that has really fueled a lot of the conspiracy theories, for sure.
If they knew each other, that changes everything, right?
Yeah, it challenges the whole lone gunman idea. It suggests there was something bigger going on, maybe a whole conspiracy.
Like there are these hidden parts of the story we don't even know about.
Right. And that's what makes this whole investigation so fascinating.
Every little detail, every new account just adds another layer.
Mm.
Okay, so there's another article in this issue that really grabbed my attention. It's by Les Bolland.
Bolland?
He's a retired British police officer.
Okay.
And he takes a really close look at the interview notes from FBI agent James Hosty.
That's interesting. He probably has a unique perspective on that.
Right. Like he knows what a good interview should look like.
Yeah.
And he finds some, let's just say he finds some problems with how Hosty questioned Oswald and Ruth Payne. The woman who let Marina Oswald stay at her place.
Right. Okay.
So for someone like me who's not a detective, why does it matter how these interviews were done?
Well, you have to think of an interview like a key.
A key.
Yeah, it can unlock important information, but if you don't ask the right questions or you're not listening or you keep interrupting, you might miss crucial stuff.
So, Hosty might have messed up and missed clues because he wasn't doing the interviews right.
Yeah, potentially. Like Bolland points out that Hosty's questions, they weren't very organized. He jumped around from topic to topic. And he asked a lot of yes or no questions.
Oh, so he wasn't letting Oswald or Payne really explain things.
Right. And there's more. Bolland says Hosty challenged Oswald really early in the interview, so maybe Oswald got defensive and didn't want to talk as much.
It's like Hosty accidentally shut down the investigation just by not asking the right question.
Exactly. It makes you wonder if there was valuable information that got missed because of these mistakes.
So there's this one detail in Bolland's article that I thought was super cool. He talks about using this technique called ESDA.
ESDA, yeah.
It stands for Electrostatic Deposition Analysis.
Wow, that's a mouthful. What is that?
So it's this forensic technique that can show indentations on paper, even if someone erased something.
So, like, even if you can't see the writing, it's still there.
Exactly, like a secret message. And Bolland thinks they could use ESDA to look at Hosty's notes and see if he wrote anything down that he later erased.
That's amazing. What kind of stuff could they find?
We don't know, but maybe he wrote down extra observations or thoughts, things he didn't officially record.
It's like we could go back in time and be a fly on the wall during those interviews.
Right. Okay, so enough with the serious investigative stuff for a minute.
Okay.
This issue of the Dealey Plaza Echo also includes a personal account from the new editor, Jonathan Notnan. He visited the Dallas Police Department headquarters.
I can only imagine what that must have been like.
I know, right? He talks about seeing the old lineup room, Captain Fritz's office, even the spot where Oswald was shot. It's like heavy stuff.
To actually be in those spaces where history happened.
Yeah, and get this. He and his group, they got to see parts of the building that are off limits to the public.
Like what?
Like the jail cells where Oswald was held.
Really? That's incredible. It must have been a powerful experience to be in that space.
You can just feel the weight of history in those places.
Yeah.
It's not just reading about it in a book, it's real. So on a later note, this issue also has a little trivia quiz.
A trivia quiz?
Yeah, it's called Dealey Plaza Teaser. It's for, JFK assassination buffs, I guess.
I'm curious, what kind of questions do they ask?
Some of them are really hard. Like, did you know that David Duchovny, Fox Mulder from The X-Files?
Yeah, I love The X-Files.
He played Officer J.D. Tippett in the movie Ruby.
No way! I did not know that. That's really interesting.
It's just a little fun fact. But it shows how the JFK assassination, it's still so relevant to people today.
You're right, even in pop culture. Okay, so back to the serious stuff. There's this reader letter that questions whether President Kennedy's car actually stopped in the killing zone.
They're basing it on the Nix film.
Oh, right, the Nix film.
It's another home movie that captured the shooting, like the Zapruder film.
Yeah, and it's been analyzed like crazy.
Right. The reader says that you can see the two police outriders on motorcycles start to pass the president's car as it slows down, like it was almost at a standstill.
That is interesting. Why would the car slow down right then?
It's a good question. Some people say the driver maybe reacted to the gunshots without thinking.
It would be a natural reaction?
Others say maybe someone made the driver stop the car on purpose.
Like as part of a conspiracy?
Exactly. It's crazy how even something like how fast a car was going can cause so much debate, even after all these years. And then there's an article by the outgoing editor, Chris Mills. He tackles this whole disappearing Mauser thing.
Okay, the disappearing Mauser. What's that all about?
So remember how we talked about how the rifle found on the 6th floor of the Texas School Book Depository was misidentified at first?
Yeah.
Well, some people say that a Mauser rifle was found along with the Carcano.
Wait, so 2 rifles?
Maybe. But this Mauser, it just vanished.
What? So where did it go?
That's what Mills is trying to figure out. Could it have been a mistake because everything was so chaotic? Or did someone plant a second rifle to make it look like someone else was involved, like Fidel Castro? Or maybe someone got rid of the Mauser to hide a bigger conspiracy. It's like another piece of this puzzle just appeared out of nowhere.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder if we'll ever really know the whole truth.
It's a real mystery. So how does Mills go about trying to find this disappearing Mauser? Well, he goes through all sorts of records, looking at different Mauser models, trying to see if any of them match what those witnesses said.
It's like he's a real detective.
Yeah, very methodical. It really shows how serious the Dealey Plaza Echo is about their investigations. It proves that regular people, when they're passionate, they can really make a difference in understanding history.
It's pretty inspiring to see. Okay, so as we wrap up this deep dive into the Dealey Plaza Echo, what have we learned? We talked about a shoe salesman with a super memory, a maybe missing rifle. It's a lot.
Yeah. I think the big takeaway for me is that history isn't just what's in the textbooks, It's about real people and their experiences, their stories.
Yeah, and sometimes those stories don't fit the official narrative. They challenge us to rethink everything.
That's right. That's why publications like the Dealey Plaza Echo are so important. They give a voice to the people who are still searching for answers, even after all this time.
So after this deep dive, I'm left with more questions than answers.
Like what?
Like, did Johnny Brewer know Oswald better than we thought? What if they did ESDA testing on Hosty's notes? Would we find something new? And what about that Mauser.
So many questions.
Was it just a mix-up, or was there something more going on? We may never know for sure.
It's true. But these are the kinds of questions that keep us curious. They make us want to keep digging and never just accept what we're told.
It's like we've only just scratched the surface of this whole event, this one issue of the Dealey Plaza Echo. It shows us how much dedication and passion there is out there, People are still searching for the truth.
And in a world where we're bombarded with information all the time, it's so important to think for ourselves.
To question everything.
Yeah, and to remember that even the smallest details can be important.
So to all you listeners out there, if you're interested in the JFK assassination, keep learning.
Keep asking questions.
Maybe even find a copy of the Dealey Plaza Echo. See what you think. History is an ongoing conversation,
It's true.
It's up to all of us to keep that conversation going.
To ask the tough questions and never stop searching for answers.
Who knows? Maybe you'll be the one to find the missing piece of this puzzle. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into the Dealey Plaza Echo.
Yeah, thanks for listening.
Until next time, keep exploring and keep diving deep.